Will a Ruto administration crack down, like many other leaders in Africa, on the homosexual LGBTQ community? Or will you allow them their human rights and their civil rights?
I think
they're at it again. The ultra-leftist activists over at CNN are policing the world with their woke liberal values. But what the president of Kenya had to say left this woke warrior absolutely stupefied. And if you stick with me to the very end of this video, I'll show you why he and many other conservative leaders around the world are just getting started. A few weeks back, CNN's Christiane Anapour interviewed the newly elected president of Kenya, William Ruto. And true to form for CNN, the interview quickly pivoted away from national issues specific to and very pressing to Kenya to more globalist issues such as LGBT rights.
I want to talk to you about a specific, human rights situation in parts of Africa and including in your own country. You yourself gained worldwide attention a few years ago when you said there was, quote, no room for homosexuality in Kenyan society. I want to know whether you still stand by that.
we have Kenyan law, we have Kenyan constitution, we have our tradition, we have our customs. We will continue to respect other people's customs as they respect our customs and our tradition. I am very clear that we respect everybody and what they believe in, but we also have what we believe in, and we expect to be respected for what we believe in.
Now, you'll notice her question, right? The radically presumptuous nature of her question. Do you still stand by that? Do you? Do you still stand by that opinion? I mean, have you come to your senses? Do you now recognize how out of touch you are with the time? I mean, how pompously arrogant can your virtue signaling get? But bless his heart, this president, or then President-elect Ruto, didn't let it get to him. As you heard, he gave a very calm, very thoughtful answer. The nation of Kenya has its own laws. They have their own constitution. We have our own traditions, our own customs. We will certainly respect other people's customs, but only as long as they respect ours. We absolutely respect everyone, but we in turn expect a mutual respect. In other words, who the hell are you, CNN, in trying to impose your fiery but mostly peaceful moral standards on us?
So before I ask you to flesh that out and what exactly does it mean, I want to play you what President Kenyatta said to me about this issue.
I will not engage in a subject that is of no, it is not of any major importance to the people and the Republic of Kenya. This is not an issue, as you would want to put it, of human rights. This is an issue of society, of our own base as a culture, as a people, regardless of which community you come from. This is not acceptable. This is not agreeable.
So he's basically saying homosexuality is not agreeable. You've just said that you're kind of trying to thread the needle, that the law says one thing, but you respect everybody's rights. Will a Ruto administration crack down, like many other leaders in Africa, on the homosexual LGBTQ community? Or will you allow them their human rights and their civil rights?
I think on that subject, President Kenyatta was spot on. We do not want to create a mountain out of a molehill. This is not a big issue for the people of Kenya. When it becomes a big issue for the people of Kenya will make a choice. As it is now, we are grappling with 5 million young people who do not have jobs, 4 million people who are hungry, and that is my concern. That is the focus of the people of Kenya at the moment. When the issue you have discussed about homosexuality and the rights of LGBT will come, the people of Kenya will make a choice, and we will respect the choice of the people of Kenya. For now, Christiane Amanpour, let us focus on the real issues that affect our people.
As you know, Mr. President, with respect, these are real issues that affect so many people around the world. But we will hold you to what you said, and we'll come back to you if the situation requires it, which
No problem.
probably it will.
Now, you could tell that the CNN reporter's totally baffled there. She simply doesn't have the cognitive frames of reference to be able to comprehend what's coming at her. She was just told by both the former president and the current president, she was just told in a very diplomatic way to take her woke ideology and shove it. And without the air cover of the threat of cancel culture, all she could do is just sit there and rattle off the same tired liberal platitudes and leftist rhetoric that more and more of the world is just tuning out. Sorry, CNN. While LGBT issues and identity politics in general may be of the utmost importance in the U.S. or in the whole of the dying, demographically shrinking West, they don't even have even remotely such a semblance of importance here in Kenya. If you would like to discuss the things that are important to us Kenyans, we'd be happy to chat with you on that. If you want to look for some common ground on various issues, we'd be happy to chat with that too. But you, CNN, are artificially prioritizing an issue that simply has no comparable priority to us, and then to make it worse, you insinuate that somehow we as a nation, we Kenyans, are defective. We fall short. We're somehow morally immature because we don't line up with your Western liberal woke values. Again, who the hell put you in charge? When did CNN become the equivalent of the very moral policeman that they so vocally denounce in the nation of Iran? As the former president of Kenya pointed out, the family is an issue of society, of culture, of custom, of tradition. It is not something that Western liberal ideology, completely severed from culture, custom, and tradition, gets to come in and dictate just because it uses fancy schmancy terms like human rights and marriage equality and social justice. Sorry, those terms don't mean a whole hell of a lot here in our culture. They may mean a lot to you, but not to us. And what makes this even more amazing is that the world is becoming more and more like Kenya and less like CNN. And we're going to find out why. So what we just saw there is an excellent example of a huge phenomenon going on all over the world that scholars call retraditionalization. Retraditionalization is the notion that in the face of threats to the defining identity markers so central to a people group, these people groups reassert their historic customs, cultures, and traditions as mechanisms of resistance against the anti-cultural, anti-traditional processes of globalization and its secular aristocracy. And that's exactly what we just saw in that interview. And it's not because these people are homophobic or hateful or bigoted or anything like that. It actually comes from the much larger phenomenon known as re-territorialization. How do you like all these fancy schmancy words, right? But re-territorialization is simply the process by which, as globalism and globalist entities like CNN fade, more and more populations are recovering their political power that had otherwise been de-territorialized, dislodged from local control, and usurped by globalist institutions like the EU or the UN or the IMF or the WTO. Populations are increasingly reasserting their own localized political integrity in the face of globalist structures increasingly waning. And that's all Kenya is doing. Kenya is reasserting their own unique cultures, customs, and traditions that are defended rather than denigrated by their political leaders. So sorry, CNN, you may not like it, but retraditionalization, ironically, is the wave of the future.